come into the presence of God with reverence. Holiness unto him is his purpose for us. Come in full assurance now, declared Isaiah 1:18 and 19. Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though shall be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. Come, ye pizzas, ye thankful people of God. Come, let me stand, please.
Great Sabbath. Just pray, God, we thank you just for bringing us into this place today. It's an awesome opportunity anytime that we get a chance to open our eyes and see another day. God, it's an opportunity where we can just celebrate you bringing us through the week. God, we know that there's so many challenges that we have had with so many different people. God, more than anything, you were with us every step of the way. And so right now, God, we invite your presence to be with us, that you reign supreme on this day, the day that you have set aside for us to come away from everything and reflect on you. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Good morning, church family. Good morning. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. I'm glad that you came today to join us in our worship service today. And I hope that you feel welcome and God's love in a new and refreshing way. Today is the day that we celebrate our friends and our family. So will you please turn next to your neighbor and tell them welcome. Visitors, as I call your name, will you please raise your hand or stand? Harold Williams. Amen. Rose Williams. Amen. Esther Augustine. Amen. Diane Nanko. Amen. Anderson Pless. Lessons. Amen. Ayani Reed. Amen. Charles, Gwen, and Xavier Portier. Amen. Welcome. And lastly, Jose Galarza. Amen. Welcome you all to our family. On behalf of Pastor Groves, we extend to you a warm and welcome. Is there anybody celebrating birthdays today?
All right.
Mother Lando will sing the happy birthday song. Anybody studying any anniversaries? Amen. How long? Also, Sister Thor is also celebrating her 20 years anniversary.
27.
I will leave you with this final thought. Don't walk behind me. I may not lead. Don't walk in front of me. I may not follow. Just walk beside me and be my friend.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning. It is, as usual, good to be in the house of the Lord. Amen. Somebody else to say amen. Amen. Somebody else to say thank you, Jesus. The word says, if you have breath, praise the Lord. When we get together like this, we ought to praise God. I just want to join Brother and Coroni. Let's get that name wrong. And welcoming everyone here this morning. Those who are worshiping with us, those who are online, we're extremely happy to have you. It's always good to see Brother and Sister Clark with us. It's always good to see miracles walk in and through me. It's good to have you, good to have you both with us. And those who are here, I saw Brother William this morning. Brother William, just raise your hand. Yeah. All right. It's from Mount Simon? Mount Olive. Okay. And he's coming over. Good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have all those who are worshiping with us here this morning. I just want to thank Pastor Brown for being the routing the ticket last Sabbath. And as usual, he does a good job. I know that Sister Brown schooled you well. Thank you very much, God. Thank you for all this for stepping in. Last Sabbath, quite a number of us were not here. We went to Camp Calacqua. And we had a wonderful time. We had a great time. The Lord blessed us so much so. While it was raining down here, there was on Sabbath, really no rain up there. Rained all night. After we went into our cabin, and when we got up Sabbath morning, everything subsided. God was an awesome God. God is an awesome God. And we had a good time, didn't we? Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I want to thank Brother Horton and the crew, Ryan, for having planned the weekend. And indeed, it was refreshing. It was good. It's always good when, Ed Clark had nothing to do. Well rested and enjoy the activities, the festivities, and the worship. Again, we appreciate you and we thank you for that. I want to remind us to keep our brothers and sisters who are not well in prayer and ask God for health and healing. I saw Sister Monica here this morning. Where is she? that the pastor is not aware of. I came in here Thursday evening to do a regular exercise. The fellowship hall was all gorgeously arrayed. And said, brothers, listen, know that Thursday evening we have exercise here. Why is this place all used up? And Sister Higgins, she twisted the truth. And she had Suzette and all the folks backing her up. Well, it is my 49th wedding anniversary. And you know. Well, I believed her and walked out, but this morning I recognized that she was twisting the truth. Like Abraham said, this is my sister. You know, yes, it was his sister, but the motive. Read the word well, the Lord judge motives. So we need to settle that at board meeting. And then this morning I came in, they weighted me down with this. But thank you very much. Appreciate your kindness, your hospitality, and the warm gesture. We appreciate that very much. Back to some serious business. Next week is for night prayer meeting. Amen. Somebody say amen? We usually enjoy prayer meeting in this church all night. And next week will be an inspiring all-night activities. I'm sure Sister Cunningham and her team has planned everything. So I just want to remind us and invite us to be here next Sabbath evening so that we can enjoy the night together. Amen? It will be wonderful. And we are presently in the morning online. We're going through the book Prayer by Ellen White. And it's a very interesting and inspiring book. And if you have not been praying, or if you have been praying, come and join us in prayer. And I'm sure you will be richly blessed. Amen? And I know the following week is District 2 all-night prayer meeting too. I think it's away from here. But those who are interested, there's the bulletin or talk to Sister Ken Bishop Medora, and she will give you some instructions. It's good to be worshiping here. It's like I've been here for 2 weeks, and it seems like a long time. It seems like a long time. Good to have Pastor Matunda here with us. I was telling the folks when they put the bulletin, I said, Pastor Matunda, they said, you ought to be here. And they were just laughing at me. Man, but he's here, and we appreciate that. Pastor Williams will be introduced later on, and his family. We have to have his wife and twin with us. They are somewhere around in the congregation. We have to have them. They will be identified later on. But as we worship God together, I trust that we will enjoy the celebration. We will give God the glory. We'll praise Him. You know, if you can't praise Him today, you're not sure about tomorrow. You know, Sister Jones with the gardens, she was with us at church one Sabbath before, and everything seemed well. During the week, she went to the hospital, and today she has a trachea. So I'm just saying that you pray for her. And I'm also saying, when you have breath, praise the Lord. That's Brother Waldron there. Brother Waldron, it's good to see you here, sir. Good to see you here. When God allows you to walk, say thank you, Jesus. When you can speak, say thank you, Jesus. When He called you to do something for Him, say thank you, Jesus. Because you are not sure about tomorrow. This moment is the only certainty we have. And we need to just exalt the Lord. Give Him glory. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Someone is worse than you. So we just magnify, we just glorify, and we just praise the Lord. Good to see everyone. And I trust that you'll enjoy the worship as we pray. praise the Lord this morning.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath.
Pastor Rose has just taken the seat, but I'm going to ask you to do me a favor right now. Pastor Rose, will you please find your wife and escort her out to the pulpit? Amen. Rose, where are you? Sir, you have to actually get up and come here. Adam is supposed to be beside Eve, right? Where is Eve? In the interest of time, I'm going to call upon Lauren and I should tell you to go get the one. They both lost. Church family, I want to share with you that our Pastor Rose, started off as a junior pastor with us. And while he is trying to find Sister Rose, just want to let you know how, as a ring and how life is circular, he is back with us. After being away for many months, 20 years. And he has been back with us for his third year back. He's lost. They're lost. We need some sentinels to go find them. Laura says that she's in Sabbath school. Sabbath school has been over. Thank you, Sister Muriel. You probably know the secret category. Oh, very big Tom. Eve, you are supposed to be close to 9 o'clock. Pastor Rose, it's my honor to be the board recognized to present you issue of love for your work and for your mission and the commission that you have brought back to our church. Before I say anything, I just want all those who knew Pastor Rose when God called him given the commission to go forward and to preach the gospel and to teach and baptize in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then to teach all to do God's will. We thank you both so much for the sacrifice that you have made to your own personal families and for the things that you decided that you would not do in order to put God's message and his commission first. We praise you and we are just so thrilled and happy today to be able to say we appreciate you. And on behalf of our members, our friends, our young people, our newly baptized members, we thank you, and we just want to offer you some things for you to rest and relax as you take some time out with your wife and maybe your children. If you want to stay there, you can say stay home, you're grown. And we're just saying thank you so very much. We appreciate it and we love you. Christine, you also have this wonderful basket of all the mangoes that you love. She gets to hold the soft cake.
Well, we have taken up a lot of time for the church service. But I just want to express on behalf of the family our appreciation for the expression of your gratitude and your generosity. God is a good God. And our endeavor is to do his will and to serve here and in this district as best as he has commissioned us to do. So we just want to thank you very much, and we pray that the Lord will continue to bless you as you demonstrate and express your gratitude for what he has been doing. So the Lord bless and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Good morning and happy Sabbath, church family.
Happy Sabbath.
We will sing for our praise and worship, and just be mindful of the time. We'll just do 341, to God be the glory. Great things he hath done. Amen.
To God be Our scripture reading today will be taken from John 15, verses 15 to 17. I will read in your hearing. Jesus said, I no longer call you servants, because the servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from my Father, I have made it known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit. Fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command. Love each other. God bless the reading of His word and the hearers.
Happy Sabbath, church. It's time for us to go before the throne of grace. We want to seek the face of the rock of our salvation. And this morning, we're going to invite our pastor, Pastor Gross, and his family for them to come before the altar. You know, where's Sister Gross? Please. We need in front of the altar. And also, where's Lauren and Sherilyn? She's here, please. And also this morning, those whose last name starts with Y and Z, they also needed to come forward. They're the families that are on the program to come before the altar. If your last name starts with Y or Z, please also come forward. And finally, anyone, you have a request that you've been presenting before the Lord, and just trust in the power of God, and you just want to come before the altar, you can also approach the altar as well. To praise God. We want to thank Him for all His blessings upon our lives. We want to appreciate His goodness to us. So every one of us, let us just lift up our voices to God in appreciation. there is a song that we sing that says that if we count our blessings and we are able to name them one by one, we will be able to see what the Lord has done for us. So this morning, just cast your mind back to the past and to the present, and you'll be able to recognize the blessings of the Lord in your life. And let us just praise Him. Let us give thanks to Him. Let us tell Him that, Father, we thank you. We appreciate you. There are many things that we take for granted. And we just think that all those things just need to happen. That you went to bed last night and were able to sleep. You need to praise God. And this morning you woke up and you're able to recognize that this is me. You need to praise God. And if you happen to have breakfast this morning and the food did not come back out, you're able to retain the food and hold it down. You need to praise God. And when you drank this morning and you did not choke on the water, you need to say hallelujah. And this morning we want to zero our prayer on our pastor's family. We want to thank God for the ministry of Pastor Gross and his wife and the children. Let us just praise God for the way the Lord has led them. Because this family has been on the battlefield for the Lord for so many years. And it's of the Lord's doing that they are still standing. So we want to praise God for that. We want to thank God for His calling, for Pastor Gross' family. We want to thank God for His holding power. I want to thank God for the many lives that this family's life has touched. It's only eternity that will reveal what we have allowed the Lord to use us for. And at this moment too, we want to pray that God's blessings we're going to rest and abide with our pastor's family. We want to commit Lauren and Shirley into God's care. That God will continue to bless them. That everything they lay their hands upon shall surely prosper. And we also use this opportunity. Let us pray for all the pastors that are here today and those who are not here. That God will continue to bless their ministry. And we continue to bless their homes. And we want to pray for all our elders, our deacons and deaconesses, head of departments, our choristers, our ushers, and all the different people that are involved in this great ministry. And we also pray generally for the people of God. That His goodness and mercy will continue to abide with us. And at this time, we would like to remember the families whose last names start with Y and Z. That the Lord will continue to put His blessings upon their lives. And we also want to pray for the sick and the shut in. That God will please lay His healing hands upon them. And especially we also want to remember Sister Donna Gillen's daughter, that the Lord will bless her and uphold her as she passes through the pregnancy period. And also this morning, if there are people in the congregation that have come into the house of the Lord, and they have come with a burden in their heart, and they have said that, God, your house is a house of prayer. Even though this situation looks so challenging, and it looks so impossible, but we believe that if we come before your presence, if we come before into your sanctuary, that we shall receive answers to our prayers. Father, we pray that they shall not be disappointed. We pray that they shall receive answers to their prayers. And at this time too, we'd like to pray for all our children. We thank you for the blessings that you blessed us with. We thank you for your precious gifts. And Lord, we pray that as these young ones, as they're growing up, that our Lord will continue to bless them and bless the parents as well. And Father, we would like to commit the young ones and the young adults into your care. Father, there are so many challenges in this world. There are so many voices that are calling out to them, left and right, and saying, this is the way, when it only leads to nowhere. And Father, we are praying for your intervention. We are praying that thou will break any power, any force on our young adults. That, Lord, they will stay in the path of the Lord, your path. Whatever forces are coming against them in the name that is above every other name, we break that yoke. Because the Bible says that at the name of Jesus Christ, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. The Bible says that the weapon of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of all strongholds and principalities and powers. And so, Father, we are requesting that our children, our young ones, to be set free, that they shall know the Lord, and they shall stay in this message. Let us begin to round up our prayers. And Father, we want to pray for the speaker of the hour. We want to pray for our brother Williams. Father, we pray for a double portion of your Holy Spirit upon his life. And Father, we pray that thou will please speak through him. Father, we thank you. We appreciate you. We thank you for the answered prayers. We thank you for the anointing of the Holy Spirit. And we thank you for the appreciation of the ministry of our pastor and his family. Continue to bless us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I'll fight your
Sabbath knows all of that. And there's a brother this morning, Jose, that came in. I just wanted to feel at home here in Northern Ireland. Where are you, Jose? In the back somewhere. Okay. I want everyone to feel welcome here. Okay, this morning I just want to share with you commentary I entitled "The Biggest in the Word" before the deacons come for the morning's offering. He said that 40 years of wandering in the wilderness were about to come to an end. Moses, because of his own disobedience, was prohibited from crossing the Jordan into the Promised Land. Before transferring the leadership to Joshua, however, he wanted to admonish this new generation of Israelites regarding the two possible futures that awaited them. As you read his words in Deuteronomy 28, you will be struck by the fact that everything hinged on the biggest little word in the English language, if. If you obey, great blessings will follow, and the world will flock to your doorstep, because they will sit up and take notice and wonder how they can receive the same benefits. If, however, you rebel and become disobedient, the other nations will scorn and abuse you. Despite this important sermon, not only spoken but written down for posterity, the Israelites spent hundreds of years of spiritual ups and downs. Over and over, they succumbed to the cultural pressures around them, and soon became just like the other nations in so many ways. Following their exile in Babylon, some returned under Ezra and Nehemiah to rebuild the nation and entered a period of great zeal for the Lord, which by the time of Christ resulted in legalism. We're not much different from them, he said. Today, Christ calls us to faithful obedience based on the gospel. The choice is ours. If. Let's remember that we should not only be committed to giving the tithe, the tenth, but to give a liberal offering, because it's the offering that takes care of the local needs. The deacons come forward. Shall we pray? Father, we're reminded this morning that everything that has breath must praise the Lord. We also recognize that one way to praise you is to support your cause so that souls can come to know you and to praise you also. We ask that you will help each one to give cheerfully and liberally to your cause this morning. And bless what is given today, we pray, for Christ's sake. Amen.
Just one.
celebrate another gift that will go towards expanding our benefits here. So don't disappoint the children when they come here. Have a blessed Sabbath, everyone.
All right. Good morning, boys and girls. Good morning, church family. In the spirit of our friendship day, today I want to share a story with you about being a good friend. Can anybody tell me what a friend is or who a friend is? Who is a friend?
A friend is a person who's kind to you.
Okay. Somebody who's kind to you. Anybody else?
A friend that helps you.
Yeah, somebody who helps you. So somebody who is kind and somebody who helps. What do you think? Someone who is always by your side. Those are excellent answers. So raise your hand if you have a good friend. If you have at least, yeah, excellent. Raise your hand if you are a good friend. That's even better. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so today I want to share a story with you about a little girl, and her name is Nikki. And Nikki went to school on Monday. And her teacher said, everybody, on Friday, I am going to acknowledge, that means I'm going to call everybody up who I have seen has been a good friend. So if you've been helping your classmates, if you've even been helping the teacher, on Friday I'm going to call everybody up for a big thank you, so don't be late. So Nikki was very excited because she knew that she was a great friend. But Nikki said, just in case my teacher forgets how good of a friend I am, I'm going to take notes. So everything I do this week that I know a good friend would do, I'm going to write it down because I know I'm an excellent friend. So later that week, on Tuesday, Nikki went out to recess and she saw that one of her classmates was playing by themselves. Is it always fun to play by yourself? No, right? Not all the time. A group of kids was over playing together, but this little girl was just playing by themselves. So Nikki said, now is the perfect time for me to take note of what a great friend I am. This is going to be great. So Nikki pulled out her little notebook and she went right over to the group of kids standing beside the little girl, and she said, hey, don't you see this little girl is playing by herself? You guys should be playing with them. So Nikki thought, I did such a good job in reminding others of how to be a good friend. And she took note of that and went on her way. A couple days later, in the cafeteria, Nikki saw that that her friend had spilled their goldfish all over the floor. She was walking and her tray was too heavy. So Nikki said, here's another chance for me to show how great of a friend I am. But Nikki saw that her teacher's back was turned, and that even if she went to help pick up the goldfish, her teacher wouldn't see her. So Nikki said, I'm gonna wait until my teacher turns around so she can see me being a good friend. So her friend was struggling still, and Nikki was like, my teacher's not looking, my teacher's not looking. And then when she saw her teacher turn around, she ran over to help, and she said, are you okay? I thought that you needed help, and I just want to help you because I know that's what a good friend does. And so she helped her pick up the extra 2 or 3 pieces of goldfish that were still left on the floor. Was that very kind? No, it wasn't. So on Friday, when it was time for the teacher to call up all the students who had been helpful, just for her to say thank you, Nikki opened up her list and she was reviewing the things she had done, and she couldn't wait for her teacher to call her name. So her teacher called the names of the other students, and she said, she must be saving me for last because I am the best friend. But then when her teacher said thank you to everyone who was up there, Nikki wasn't there. And Nikki was so shocked. She said, but I'm the best friend. My teacher saw me picking up the goldfish. I told those kids how to be a good friend. Why isn't my name there? So for the rest of the day, Nikki was pouting. She was upset. At the end of the day, Nikki went to her teacher. What do you think she asked her teacher? Yeah, she said, why am I not up here? She took out her list. She said, see, look at my list. And Nikki's teacher told her something very simple. She said, Nikki, a friend is a friend at all times. She said, no matter who's watching, no matter if I'm there or not, a friend is going to be very kind. So I just want to remind all of you who are already good friends, but a friend is a friend at all times. Jesus says a friend loves at all times. So no matter if your mom or dad are watching, no matter if your teacher's watching, you want to be the best friend you can be at all times, because Jesus is always the best friend to us, okay? So can I have 2 good friends to pray this morning? 1 and 2. Come on, we'll do 2. All my friends can't pray today, but that's okay. All right? What's your eyes
Dear Jesus, thank you for the day. Thank you for loving magic and sharing the spirit and peace and directing the nation. Please bless Uncle Angel and bless me too, and bless my family and keep everybody safe. And please bless my family and everybody, and she has been great. Amen. Father God, I beg you to bless my church family. I beg you to bless my family. Father God, I beg you to bless me. Father God, I put all my families in your hand. Father God, I beg you to bless the ones who need. Father God, I beg you to bless the ones who need the most hope. Father God, I want you to show me what it is when I'm not sinful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Everybody have a great rest of the day, and remember to be a good friend. Amen.
Happy Sabbath, church. We'll say happy Sabbath, friends. All my friends here today.
They have two beautiful twin babies, a son and a daughter, Bryce and London Williams. Quincy is an Oakwood University alumnus, and he's currently the president of Connect Orlando, a young adult organization that strives to connect people with God through worship, community service, social activism, and professional networking. His goal in life is to lift Jesus higher so that all people will be drawn closer to their Creator. And actually, praise the Lord, his lovely wife and mother-in-law is just here. So we get to see them standing and walking back in. All right? Amen.
In celebration of Friendship Day, this song says, I need you, you need me, we need each other. And also to make it through this life, we need each other to pray for one another and to help each other, to help us to survive. Amen? Amen. So this is the song we're going to sing, I need you to survive.
Sabbath again, everybody. How are you all doing? They didn't turn this on. I believe that they did. It's amazing. I'm glad you didn't turn it on while we were singing. I didn't want you guys to hear me. You guys sound beautiful up there, first of all. And I always like to do this because I think this is important. I ask that we all stand. Because anytime we go into a courtroom, the judge gets respect. We're going to give credit to the King and the King, so we stand in honor of God. I ask that this is Friendship Day, so this is beautiful because I ask that you guys hold each other's hands. We're a church family, but also we're friends. So I'm going to tap my hands in yours since I'm closest to you. And I know that we have had burdens or whatever it is. Obviously, feedback, that's okay. I know that we all have burdens, we have praises, there's various different things that are on our hearts. So if anybody has a prayer request, just raise your hand, whatever it is. If you have a praise for God, raise your hand. God knows exactly what's on your heart. He knows what you want to praise Him for. And we're going to pray, God, we thank you for this moment in time right now. You saw this from the beginning of time, from creation. You saw this exact same thing. So God, we pray that you can be magnified in everything that we say and do. God, this is Friendship Day. You were the first one to reach out to us. You called us friends. The vilest offender, you called that individual friend. So God, we just thank you for what you will do and what you will continue to do in our lives. Thank you, Jesus. We say amen. I just want to thank, first of all, Lincoln for reaching out to me. He reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. He said, man, we're having Friendship Day. I think that's so cool. Because one of the things that this place should be for just this community in Orlando is a place should be a safe place. Anybody from the street should be able to walk into here and feel the love of God flowing through this place. So we saw what the scripture reading was, and we're going to read it again. Not Daniel 15, but it's actually John 15, but I'm pretty sure Daniel has some great things in it too. God working in Daniel. So we're going to read that once again in honor of exactly what God is talking about and Jesus is talking about. So when we look at this chapter 15, what we have to understand is really Jesus is just preparing His disciples for what is going to happen. He's telling them, that, I'm not going to be with you guys all the time. It's coming to the point where my mission here on earth will be ending. But the beauty of it, they got to a point now in their relationship where Jesus says this, and we're going to start at verse 12. John 15, 12 through 17. John 15, 12 through 17. I'm just going to wait a little bit on your pages turning. I know you guys have smartphone apps, and thank God for just the Wi-Fi or LTE, or whatever you think your cell phone goes, so that you can actually see. I know that one of the churches in this area, you cannot pull up it in the sanctuary. I'm not going to say what church it is, but I love that church. It's a great church. Anyway, let's get into it. John 15, 12 through 17. And these are the words that Jesus says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I've loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what the Lord doeth. But I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father I made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, He may give it to you. These things I command you, simply that you love one another." And so we see that that's just a recurring theme of, honestly, the Bible. When we think about it, we harken back to Genesis, and after Adam and Eve had offended God by going against what God said, stay away from it. But we, as human beings, we have the nature to be curious because we want to know that all we need to do is hear from God. That's all the instructions we ever needed. And so after the offense happened, what happened? They run to God and say, God, we got some forgiveness. Please take us back. Oh, what happens is we hide. But guess who comes to look for us, not to condemn and just kick us when we're down. God came looking. Just simply ask the question, why Why? What were you guys doing? What's happening? So God at that point set forth the motion of the plan of salvation. And so the beauty of this is, this Friendship Day is, I know that we all understand that relationships are important. Friendship is important. I'm pretty sure when you hear the word friend, there's probably some people that automatically come into your mind. Like, name some of the names that come to your mind. Speak to me. I don't mind. I can name my friend Mark. Who are some people that come to your mind? Name a name. And so all these names. And so my question to you would be simply, why do you consider these individuals friends? Why do you consider them friends?
They're there for me. They keep my secrets. They help me when I need help. They love me. I love them. I can depend on them. They're kind. They go on.
And she is just spouting this off, spouting it off. Anybody else, a friend that they can think of? I'll start with my friend. I can think of my friend Mark. I met him Oakwood, freshman year. He's from Michigan. And we just immediately clicked. It was just something about where we both were headed in life, that journey. And still to this day, so I remember he came to my wedding. I hadn't seen him in probably like 12 years, but it was like as soon as I saw him, nothing had ever changed. We still had that connection. So that's the beauty of friendship. And friendship is important, especially in this day and time that we're living in. We're living in the loneliest times of Earth's history. I've heard some psychologists say that this is an epidemic. Loneliness is an epidemic. How is it an epidemic when we're surrounded by so many different people? How is it that we can feel lonely when we have a church family? So we have to ask ourselves that question, because obviously if we're feeling lonely when we have a church family, then what is it that we are missing? This is not just something that affects the U.S. I saw something and read something that was startling to me, that in Japan, about 40% of some young adults hadn't left their home in over 3 to 6 months. Isolation. And so this loneliness is something that has impacted us. Beauty of it, though, is God friended us. God friended me is the title of this message. And it comes from a show that's actually on CBS. I've never got an opportunity to see the show. I know the actor that's in the show. The premise of the show, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. You probably have, you probably haven't. The premise of the show is simply this. The main character is a radio host. His dad is an Episcopal priest, but he is a self-proclaimed atheist. And on social media, he gets a friend request from someone named God. And so he doesn't accept it, but God is instructing him to do various different things around his city to impact others for good. And so the premise now is he's wrestling with the idea of, I don't necessarily believe that there is a God, but is it a possibility that there is a God? And so the show, like I said, I haven't seen it, but the show seems to be very interesting. And I wanted to read up on the producers of the show. The producers of the show are two guys. One is a Jew. The other guy is agnostic. And so they have come together to create this show. How is it that they can come together and create a show? Well, what it is, they are able to talk to one another and still be okay to disagree. But at the same time, understand that the premise of love is universal. Love is universal. And I think that's something that if we have a hard time connecting with our community that's around us, instead of us being preoccupied necessarily with getting them within the four walls of the church, let's first at least meet their need and see exactly what they need, who they are, get to know them as a person. When you are able to create authentic relationships, the problem is not trying to get them here. They will automatically come. When someone understands that you have their best interest at heart, their very best interest at heart, there's no ulterior motives, there's not going to be any issues there. And so as we just kind of travel along in this message today, God friended me. There's one thing about friendship that's probably more important than anything else. Is being intentional about who we decide to be friends. This day and age, like I said, social media is at an all-time high. Various different social media apps, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, some that I don't even know because I'm older, in a sense not old, but older enough to where I don't know everything. But now these friendships that are being created, people are sending you friend requests, you don't even know who they are. They're sending you friend requests because maybe they saw a picture of you and they thought that you were an attractive individual. And their motive for getting to know you is not because they really want to know you, they want to know where they can get from you. You have Instagram, but I also believe that is probably the reason why this loneliness epidemic is coming, because we're all putting on this facade for social media, the internet, but we don't truly live this life. We don't truly connect on a face-to-face basis. We don't have that person-to-person connection. And without that person-to-person connection, you're going to experience this loneliness. And so when choosing who you decide to befriend, it's an intentional thing. You cannot allow for anybody to just come in your realm. One thing we have to understand is you're not fighting against flesh and blood, you're fighting against principalities, there's evil, the devil is looking to devour you. So everyone that comes in your life is not going to be coming in to befriend you. They're going to be people that come to your life to destroy you. And so without the Holy Spirit guiding us, having the discernment to understand this person is not good for my growth in Christ. We have to know that. It's an intentionality to understand the specifics of the content that we're going to put into our souls. Content in regards to what we listen to, content in regards to what we read, content in regards to what we watch, content in regards to who we associate with. All of that is competing and growing you or destroying you. And so that intentionality is going to be there if you're going to have a circle that you can believe in, that you're going to be confident in. Intentionality, I think about for me, I have been careless at times. I think we can all say that we have been careless at times with the individuals that we have decided to let into our lives. Many of people have started relationships that right now they're still experiencing the effects of that relationship that they should have never gotten into. All the signs were there from the very beginning. But we are self-set on exactly what it is we want to see. Allow God to move those people into your life. Be prayerful about it. And it may seem true. I mean, friends it naturally happens. Friendship is something that seems to naturally happen, but it doesn't. We've seen so many cases of individuals who, let's say, for instance, they are an athlete or they are a pop star, whatever it is, and people just see money, and so they want to get close to that. And I think of MC Hammer. MC Hammer at one time, during the 1990s, was a very popular music artist in the Oakland area. He had made somewhere in the neighborhood, I think, of over $50 million. And he admittedly was so giving. He would give it to just anybody and everybody. But once all that money started to dissipate, those people that were there, they also dissipated. And so, who is it that we have in our life that is going to stick with us, even when those things aren't there anymore? The people that you name, they're there for you even in the times that are bad, times that you have been at your lowest. We need somebody there that's going to be able to encourage us, to lift us up, someone that is going to be able to point us in the right direction, someone that is not impressed by us. And simply what I mean by being impressed by us, there's certain individuals in this life that have reached a certain status and you can't tell them anything. What they say goes, it's right, no one can ever check them because you don't have individuals in their life that's willing to point out you're going in the wrong way. And it's not done out of a hateful situation. It's done because I know what you can be. So as your friend, I want to see you attain what it is you can be. But we're very quick to point a finger at who we allow to come into our lives. 2 years ago. I have 2-year-old twins. And thank you for being quiet right now. I appreciate it. But as parents, you can probably think of some friends that your children have had that you weren't too fond of. Some behavior that, the friend that they had influenced them in a way that they may not even be sitting here right now. And that's the unfortunate part. But I would say this, keep on praying. Probably just the present righteous person, it avails very much. And so understand that those prayers don't stop. They will come back. But as I said, what we do, we spend a lot of time just pointing the finger at, who we don't want in our life. But are we the type of person that someone would want to have in their life? We'll probably say yes, but if we truly do some introspection and think about the things that we bring to someone's life, what are we bringing to someone else's life that they can say to us, you are my friend? Are we truly pouring into someone else? Are we pouring in, allowing them to grow? One thing I have learned is that we have to be able to appreciate people's progress. We have to be able to appreciate people's progress. A lot of times we always want that finished product. But when we meet certain people, they will be rough around the edges. There will be certain things, but that heart that they have is truly good. Just continue to work and be that individual that they can count on. I think about one of my coworkers. He is a soda addict. He has GERD. Anybody know what GERD is? Yeah, he has GERD. Like that, yeah, that's reflux. And he every day I've seen he loves Pepsi. He is a Pepsi lover. I mean, he can go through 4 liters in one day. And so add that with candy, pizzas that he orders, desserts. This is the condition that he had the other day. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it work. And that was because just before, the day before, he had drank Pepsi. And he was trying to wean himself off of Pepsi. Everybody in the department is trying to encourage him, like, man, come on, you can do it. As a matter of fact, if we see you go to the store and you get a soda, we're going to take it. And we're going to offer you to drink water. And so what his compromise was, he started getting flavored water. And, some people were kind of like, man, you're still getting flavored, we need you to drink water. And that's when it just hit me. I was like, I've got to be able to appreciate his progress. Because before, he would have had the 2 liters of Pepsi. But at least let's appreciate and be thankful that there's some progress being made. Because if we understand exactly how God works, we understand that we're not a finished product. We can be truthful. We all have some things in our life that God is still working on as well. And praise God that we are where we are right now. It's just a simple fact. Before, where someone may have cursed you out over and over again, they said one curse word. Do you think when Peter met Jesus the very first time he never cursed? No. The beautiful thing that I love reading is when Jesus is calling these disciples. And when he's calling these disciples, you look at it and we think about him calling Levi, Matthew, who was a tax collector. We think about when he's calling Peter, James, and John. They immediately just pick up and follow Jesus. Did Jesus wait for them in an instance to be perfect? Wait for them to be able to clean up themselves before he decided to communicate with them? He didn't wait for that. Let's take a journey real quick to Mark 2. Mark 2 is where we're going right now. What we're going to look at in Mark 2, we're just going to see some of exactly what people were saying. Let's go with verses 13 through 17. Mark 2, 13 through 17. Let's go again, the page is turning. So that's awesome. Once again, I know there's smart devices, so it may be a little bit easier to find it on the smart device. But it's all right. So we're going to start reading. Mark 2, 13, it says, "And he went forth again by the seaside, And all the multitude resorted unto him. And he taught them. And as he passed by, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the receipt of custom, and said unto him, Follow me. He arose and followed him. We continue on 15. And it came to pass that as Jesus sat at meat in his house, many publicans and sinners, take note of that, publicans and sinners, sat also together with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many, and they followed him. 16, and when the scribes and Pharisees saw him eat with publicans and sinners, they said unto his disciples, How is it that he eateth and drinketh with publicans and sinners? And Jesus heard it. He saith unto them, They that are whole have no need of the physician, but they that are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. You would think in that time they thought they were dissing Jesus. They thought they were saying something to Jesus that was going to make him feel embarrassed. You're eating with tax collectors who are known for being scam artists, and you are eating with people who are prostitutes, drug dealers. You're eating with, how in the world do you call yourself Son of God and someone that's sent by God, and you're eating with these individuals? Jesus' simple reply was, I didn't come to call you all the Pharisees who, obviously you have it all together. Obviously you have no need of me. I've come to the individuals who I understand that I have created them just like I created you. They came from me, out of me. I came to bring them back to me. That's why when you look at it, it says that he chose us. He befriended us. Jesus chose us. We did not choose Jesus. We can choose if we want to accept. But Jesus is always the one to extend the hand first. And so the question to North Orlando as a church body is, are we willing to eat with scam artists and sinners? Are we willing to walk Hiawassee in the surrounding areas and befriend individuals that we don't see dress and look, talk like us? I think that's one of the biggest things that we probably struggle with as a body of Christ. And I can say I struggle with that myself. Is being able to reach out to someone that does not have the same type of nomenclature that I have, that they speak like me, that they have the same terms like me, they don't dress like me. Is it that they will have the influence on me to be like them, or is it that Christ lives inside of me and the Holy Spirit will influence them to be like Christ? I heard this, and I say this to my wife sometimes. I heard this a couple of weeks ago, and I love this saying. When we think about things that are supernatural, we think of things like manna falling from the sky. That is supernatural. We think of people who are paralyzed and hand being laid on them. That's supernatural. Pastor broke it down like this, and I love it. Basically, supernatural is taking me, Quincy, just a natural word, and me having my faith in Jesus Christ and Him doing something through me, which makes it supernatural. That's supernatural. Anytime the hand of God connects with human faith, it becomes supernatural. And so that's what the experience we need when we go out. Our faith in knowing what God has done in our life, connecting with people on a personal level, befriending them, and the supernatural experience takes over. Amen. There are so many testimonies, and this testimony still stands out to me. And I say it all the time. Her name is Liz Black. She radio host up in New Jersey, I believe. She struggled with cocaine addiction for 20 years. But faith in God broke that. She's now been clean for more than 20 years. And she talked about a story of a pastor of hers, pastor's wife. She was working out, I believe, at some gym, doing Zumba. And there was a woman who fell out during the Zumba class. And she was pronounced dead. Pastor's wife, who is a believer, virtually said in her own words, not on my watch, not with the power of God, that I know He can raise somebody from the dead. And so what she said is, the pastor's wife began to pray over this woman, lay hands on this woman, and she once again started to breathe. That's a supernatural experience. Pastor's wife's faith in Jesus Christ, knowing the power that lies within Jesus Christ, connecting with this body that lay dead, and she was raised to life. What kind of friend do we have that we can say can do that? We have access to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. And it's time that we accept the friendship that Jesus is freely offering. It's there for us. It's life-changing. Now I'll go back to what I said before. Is this church a safe place? Because if we get it together as a body of Christ individually, then collectively, I just get amazed at what power that we can use and have to see. The words of God about latter rain is not just there in the pages for a reason. It's there because if we open ourselves up to the Holy Spirit, how is it that Jesus can say, greater things than this will you be able to do because I'm going back to my Father? Think about it, that's a mind-blowing statement when you think of Jesus who healed the sick, who walked on water, who raised the dead. You name it, certain things are not even in the pages of the Bible that Jesus did. How is it that we can do greater things than this? It's the reforming. It's being friends with Jesus, the reason why we can do those greater things. It's thinking of things that Paul has said in 1 Corinthians 15:33. We'll journey there real quick. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Still dealing with friendship, but just a warning to us to understand who it is we should let into our lives. 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, "Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt manners." Some would say, what happens is good character. And one thing that I understand is that Paul, he was able to relate to so many different people on a different level. One of the vilest offenders, persecuting the people who proclaim friendship with Jesus Christ. But then having that experience on the road to Damascus and then his life being changed forever. But he was so versed in his time because, honestly, this bad company corrupts good character. It comes from Meander, who was a Greek poet back in the day. It was a play that he had called Thais. And Thais was this very well-known high-end prostitute who was able to corrupt Alexander the Great. And so what Paul does here is he uses that good, bad character, bad people can corrupt good character. He's using that just as an example to say, these type of individuals you don't want to let in your life. Individuals that are looking to find a way to snatch you out of the hand of God. Individuals who are looking to have your name marred. Try to stay away from those individuals. Allow for Jesus to live inside of you as the gatekeeper. I remember hearing a pastor say one time, for me, when these bad thoughts come into my mind, I allow for Jesus to look out for people. And he rejects anything that's looking to infiltrate my mind. And that's what we have to do. We have to allow for Jesus to be that friend, to block out anything and anyone, any person that is trying to infiltrate what God wants us to do. The beauty of it is that we can have that. The beauty of it is that we can have that. I'll ask the question again. Is this a safe place? So I ask that so many times because I'm thinking about situations, unfortunately, that happen through the church. Time and time again, where times where we could have shown grace, we showed condemnation. And if I were to get into specifics, I'm going to get into specifics because I know we can see the situation. A young lady who was a teenager gets pregnant, not married. Unfortunately, I've seen several times where she has been pushed to the point where she no longer wants to come to church. While in a moment like that, she needs us the most. Not to show judgment. We understand what the act was. She wasn't the only one that participated in the act. But she's the one that showed the signs of what is to come. At those moments is when we need to be the most compassionate. Because the devil is going to take the opportunity to tell lies. They don't like you. They don't want you. You don't deserve to even be in these seats. You know, but you're going to be accepted more out in those individuals who are going to be there for you. The church doesn't like you. The church doesn't love you. But let's not contribute to that falsehood. Let's not be individuals that are contributing to this lie of the devil that the church does not love you. Let's show the love of Christ to people in their most dire situations. You think about the woman caught in the act of adultery. She gets dragged into a service, so to speak. Jesus is talking. Pharisees are always looking for an opportunity to somehow ensnare Jesus to see if he's going to slip up. They bring this woman to him. Jesus, this lady was caught in adultery. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Because what we understand from what we read, she's supposed to be stoned. Okay? All right. Jesus, why aren't you talking? Just get down here for a second. I'm just going to start right. And then he gets over there and straightens up. And they were just asking Jesus. They were just confounded by it. What is this Jesus who claims to be the forgive sins? What is he going to say? What is he going to do? So if you have never sinned, I want you to be the first one to throw this rock in this lake. So what they started walking away. The oldest one first. And Jesus then turns to her, very compassionate, and says, "Where are the people that were accusing you? Not here. Not do I. Go and sin no more." Basically, go live a better life. Don't live that life again. So are we going to be the ones that are there with the stones in our hand, ready to stone this woman, where Jesus has to stoop down and remind us of the things that we have done? Or are we going to be like Jesus and say, "I just want to see a better life. I love you. I know what God has created you to be. And I want to be a conduit to help you achieve that through the power of the Holy Spirit." Those are the individuals and those are the people that once we as a church get to that point, there's not going to be enough room in this church for people to sit down. Because people will feel accepted. And truthfully today, I thought about coming in jeans and a t-shirt. I didn't want to offend anybody. You know, I understand exactly what our mindset may be. We want to give our best to God. I agree. So, in order to not be a stumbling block to anybody sitting in the audience, shirt, tie, coat. But is it possible that some people will make the excuse that they don't come to church because they don't have anything to wear? And is it possible that if they did come in exactly what they have, their best, which may be jeans and a t-shirt, which may be shorts, which may be slippers, we may look at them sideways? So what we ask is that God lives in us, to be able to understand circumstances that are beyond our recognition. to be able to understand we don't know his story. He smells like me. He smells like alcohol. I don't know his story, but thank God he's in a safe place where people will be able to love on him and give him the help that he needs. I don't know her. She has on a very short dress. She has on earrings. She has tattoos. You don't belong here. No, you don't belong here. That's the attitude that sometimes we portray, is you don't belong here. So then who belongs here? She doesn't belong here. If she doesn't belong here, then I don't want to belong to a congregation that has that mentality. If the congregation that may have that mentality, the love of Christ, I would question if the love of Christ is truly flowing through your hearts. And so, once again, is this place a safe place? We call it Friendship Day. And I believe it. I felt the love as I came in. I did. I saw the guest speaker spot, and I kind of hesitated for a second. I said, if I park here, they see this young guy, I don't know if they're going to think. And sir, you can't park there. We're just waiting for the guest speaker to get here. That didn't happen. I came through the door, I was greeted. I felt welcome. That's a blessing. Is this just a good day, or is this just one of those days that it always happens? I would love to believe that this is something that always happens. Amen. And one of the churches in this area is a non-denominational church. I gone to an example. I said, I'm to a non-denominational church to visit. Wow. Do they not love Christ too? Okay, just check. I'm just making sure we understand that the love of Christ, God has people in various different places. That once we become all on one accord, all we're going to be doing is throwing our crowns at Jesus. No, we don't deserve this. It's because of you that we're here in the first place. But I gone to this church. It's called Great Faith, Sanford, Florida, under the direction of Pastor Woodard. The first time going there, out in the parking lot. Hey, what's up? How you doing? What's your name? Why you say, how you guys doing? Okay, where you from? Okay, good. I'm not used to that. It started in the parking lot. And as I'm walking through the door, they are greeting me left and right. Pastor greets me. Everybody greets me. And it continued throughout the whole service. Not only that, they befriended me when they found me on Facebook. They continued to reach out to me. We went there one time. It was raining. Right at the door with an umbrella as we're about to get out of the car. What kind of service is this where you recognize that maybe they don't have an umbrella? It may seem like something that's very minor, but just the little small touches that we can put on to make people feel welcome. Now we don't have our own seat. I get it. We're creatures of nature. We have places that we always sit here on the Sabbath. But is it possible that we may all sit in a different place so that guests don't have to look around for a seat? Is it possible that we may all park in the back so the guests can see that there's parking up front and they don't have to worry about getting a parking space? Is it possible that we can just be introspective about the very little minute things that we just take for granted and say, God, please work with us. How can we be of service? That's what it's about. It's about being of service. And it's great because Jesus said, you're not my servants anymore. I'm not calling you servants. I'm calling you friends. How is it that you call me a friend? How's it possible? The vilest offender. We're talking about Charles Manson, not using him as an example, but we're talking about a vile offender. We're talking about people who create, genocide. Think about
vilest thing. And Jesus is still willing to befriend that person. You know, the cry is because you can't believe it. And I understand that when we get to heaven, he says he's going to wipe away all tears, but I don't know when that point is going to be, because I can see a lot of crying faces because they can't believe, how am I here? It doesn't make sense for me to even be here, but I'm here. Thank you so much. But I'm here only because of your grace, your mercy. The vilest offender, that line in that song always gets me. It doesn't make sense, because if it were up to me, the vilest offender is going to be damned. They're going to get what they deserve. There's going to be damnation that happens. And I know this is a situation that sent the social media into a firestorm a couple weeks ago. Think about the situation that happened in Dallas. The police officer, the female police officer killed Botham Jean. Said that she thought that, she was walking into her apartment. And I know you all have seen the brother's testimony on the stand. And the brother asking, is it okay for me to hug her? Is it okay for me to hug her? And the judge understandably is hesitant, because are you truly wanting to hug her, or are you trying to strangle her? Because she shot and killed your brother. And he had to ask Ian, can I hug her? And she grants the hug, but you see the police officer run toward him and embrace him. I just see that as being the love of God flowing through his heart. How do you get to a point where you're willing to forgive someone that killed your brother? Where you question whether or not, you say it was a mistake, but you sure it was a mistake, or did you do that intentionally? How do you get to that point where you're that open to want to do that? I don't know what I would have done in that situation. And to be transparent, I don't know if I'm going to be asking for a hug. That's true. I may have some very extreme choice words for this individual. But all we have to do is just get to the point where Jesus lived in us. There's a song that says, what is it? Live in me, Jesus, have your way. That song right there is, if we allow Jesus to live in us, he has to have his way. And his way is going to look totally different than what we decide we want to do. We're not going to reach out to that person and say, hey, can I get a hug? But Jesus is going to say, hey, can I get a hug? Because I want to talk to you. I want you to get to know me. You would imagine that with Jesus hanging around all these people who were the worst of the worst according to society, how is it that they did not rub off on Jesus? What happened is Jesus rubbed off on them. And God told me this some years ago. He said, Quincy, I am the only one that will use you where you will come away filled. I'm the only one that will use you where you will come away filled up. Where in exchange, if somebody else uses you, you're going to be left there with nothing. But what God does is he uses you. And as he's using you, he just continues to pour. And what's happening is you are beginning to pour out to others that are around you. And it's just a continuing of pouring, because he is a wellspring. When he met the lady at the well, she just doesn't really understand who she's talking to at the point. And she's talking about, I'm coming here to get water. Well, you link up with me, I don't have to worry about this anymore. What are you talking about? This has been here for years. No, what I'm telling you is, if you link up with me, I am that wellspring. You will never run dry. So our question is, do we want that wellspring? Do we want to accept Jesus' offer to be our friend? Jesus is knocking on the door
of our hearts asking to come in? Are we going to continue to avoid answering the door? Are we going to answer the door? Jesus, come in. Matter of fact, Jesus, you cook, you clean. I'm just going to sit here and let you do what you do. And then when you give me orders, then that's what I'm going to get up and start doing what you want. And so, God friended me. We've asked the question, is this church a safe place? We've asked what it takes to be a good friend. We've asked, we talked about what type of people we want in our circle. I think the most important message of today is just read it again. John 15, 12 through 17. Just say this in closing. So if the musician can come, and we can continue to set the atmosphere. Music is not to try to sway you, but the music is honestly to set the atmosphere. Those keys and hands are playing with praises to God. Amen. Read it at the top, and so we'll read it once again. It says, John 15, 12 through 17. This is my commandment. Take note of that. This is my commandment. It's something that we have to do. This is not optional. This is a commandment, something that we have to do. That you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. I'm not saying that you will die for your friends, but Jesus died for you. But are you willing to lay down some things that are so important to you to be a friend to someone that's really in need? Greater love than this hath no man that may lay down their life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants. For the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. You didn't choose me. You did not choose me. But I did choose you. And I ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit. And that your fruit should remain. That whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, that you love one another. So right now, I just pray that this today was a supernatural experience. Nothing natural about it. Nothing that, is Quincy talking. But the Lord speaking through me. Just a challenge as a body of Christ as we continue on this journey. Just encourage everybody just to continue pressing forward. Hold strong to the faith that God has given you. You come too far to let it go. As a body of Christ, we're just a seed in this community off of Hiawassee and the surrounding areas. Let the love of God reign supreme in our life. Let this place be a safe place. Let this place be a conduit so that once we leave here and we start our week, that individuals can understand that we have truly been with the Lord, and not just been with the Lord, but the Lord resides with us. That's what we ask, and I ask that we stand at this moment. And I will be remiss. We can't just assume that everybody will accept the invitation to be a part of the body of Christ. And so, just want to extend the invitation to anybody, understanding that their life could be even better than it is. The opportunity to just connect with Jesus, to have Jesus be their Lord, their Savior. To have Jesus be their friend. So I'm not going to ask you to come down or anything, but I will ask you if you just want that, just raise your hand. If this is your very first time and you never have accepted Jesus before, your very first time, anybody, whoever it is, and you understand that with Jesus, all things are possible. Possible to break addictions, possible to break the sickness that's trying to take you out, possible to break the strains and strongholds of a relationship that you need to get out of, and just connect more so with Jesus and have Jesus be that individual that will be your all in all. Also, just want consecration as a church. Do we commit, to be more loving, to let Jesus reign through our hearts, to have boldness? I just ask that we raise our hands if we just want Jesus to be more evident in our life. More evident where people don't question. They just know something is different. I know the other week or a couple weeks before, I don't remember this individual being so nice. Are they just doing this to set me up? But then they realize that, no, this is a true change. This is something that's going to be a life journey that's going to continue to happen. So we see the hands that are raised, and God honors them. So we're going to pray right now. God, we thank you for being who you are. We thank you for being the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Creator, Yahweh. So many different names we throw on you. We just love you. If there was anyone that wanted to accept you, maybe they just didn't have the courage to know, God. We just ask that you preserve them. You preserve them. Not only that, God, you continue to be with them. We also see the hands of the church members who are just asking that the love of Christ is much more evident, to those people who they interact with. That we know that you live in us, that greater things are going to happen. We just rely on you to make those greater things happen. So God, I just pray that you bless the ministry of Pastor Gross. He was brought back to North Orlando for a reason at this time in his history. You saw this, God. You know what the mission is you have for Pastor Gross and his family. And so I pray that this church family just continues to uphold them with your prayers, with your encouragement. God, more than anything, we're just asking that we continue to hold on to the friendship that we have with you. That we will be able to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. You were faithful in just little. Now come on and tell everything that I've been created for in your time. So God, we love you. There's nobody else that can be our God. Any other one that would be our God is not going to be worth our while. God, we thank you for being who you are in our lives. And we just ask that you continue to be who you are, and that we continue to surrender day in and day out. And let your love just reign all over this city of Orlando. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
We will be doing our closing prayer, which is number 186, and down to the front.
He
Father in heaven, we thank you so much for the privilege of Sabbath day. Father, we thank you for the message that thou hast brought to us. We thank you for the ministry of your son. We thank you for our dear brother, Brother Williams. Father, please continue to bless him and bless his family. And Father, we thank you because you're such a wonderful friend. We thank you for your love for us. We thank you because you've given yourself for us. And Father, help us to be able to fully surrender our lives to you and live every day to give glory to your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.